An earthquake hits the Middle East. A cyclist passes away. And new information has come out on Tyree Nichols' case.
That and more on APSU TV News. Welcome back to this week's episode of APSU TV News. I'm Ashley Hughes.
And I'm Alan Barty. Turkey and Syria are currently dealing with the aftermath of a powerful earthquake that has devastated the two countries. The death toll has soared above 19,000 and is still expected to rise. Search teams and aid are still pouring into Turkey and Syria as rescuers work in freezing temperatures and sometimes use their bare hands to dig through the remains of the buildings. As of today, more than 22,700 people have lost their lives to the earthquake in the Middle East. Salma Al-Biazazi has the latest.
We're now entering the 5th day of this massive humanitarian crisis, and remarkably, we're still seeing people being pulled alive out of the rubble of their homes.
We have new details in the case of Memphis police officers accused of a deadly beating during a traffic stop. Documents on the Tyree Nichols case reveal one of the officers involved has shared pictures of the beaten victim with other officers and acquaintances. The documents from Peay. Nichols took pictures after the fatal beating. Haley's lawyer has yet to comment, and lawyers from the other 4 officers have not spoken.
According to Clarksville Now, a motorcyclist who was involved in a car crash has died to resolve their injuries. 23-year-old Christopher Taylor of Clarksville has been traveling southbound on Providence when the driver of the minivan tried to make a left-hand turn into 502 Providence Boulevard and cross into his lane of traffic, causing the 2 vehicles to collide. The driver of the minivan was transported to Tivana and then flown to Nashville by Life Flight helicopter. His status has not been released.
You will want to pay close attention to this next story, as your identity could be at risk. Clarksville police say they are looking for a suspected thief who targeted several businesses last month. Investigators need more information to find and identify him. If you have information, give police a call or submit an online tip with Crime Stoppers tip line. A heartbreaking discovery at a Memphis home. 2 screaming infants found alone in a house. Stephanie Douglas has more from the man who heard the baby's cries and stepped in to help.
I heard some kids like they were getting whooped, like they were screaming.
33-year-old Nicholas Garrett tells Action News 5 he's still stunned after he discovered a baby left alone at this Frazier home on Eden Drive Friday.
Like I heard him at this house, but his hand was coming at the door.
While visiting a friend just before 6 p.m., Garrett says he heard a high-pitched scream from outside that he believed to be coming from a baby. He says when he went to investigate, he found a baby alone in the cold 2 houses away and immediately called 911.
The baby didn't have on no shirt, no shoes, no pants.
Seen in this video, when MPD arrived, officers made another startling discovery. There were 2 children located at the residence, alone, according to MPD. Garrett, a father of 3 boys himself, says if it wasn't for the screams, he doesn't know how long those babies would have been alone.
I don't know how long they was over there. The police said 2 days.
Memphis police says the children were found unharmed, checked out by EMTs, and released to relatives. The parents arrived on the scene moments after the officers' arrival.
Found one male that said in the back there in the shed with a red hoodie on, and they had a female in the car too.
Concerned about the infant's well-being, posted the video on Facebook Saturday to locate the twins. Through the help of social media, Garrett found them and he says bought them anything they may have needed.
We went to Walmart, Family Dollar. We got so much stuff for these babies, like both of them.
MPD couldn't release if the parents are facing charges at this time, but MPD says officers did notify DCS of the incident.
Police in Clarksville has arrested a local man wanted in a connection with a homicide in Florida. Clarksville police say that Broward County Sheriff's Office contacted them late last month about a missing person homicide investigation in their jurisdiction. The person of interest was identified as 29-year-old Brandon Jenkins of Clarksville. He was booked into the Montgomery County Jail and is awaiting an introduction to Florida. New information in the case of a Chinese balloon shot down off the coast of South Carolina. The Pentagon says the balloon was part of a large surveillance program China has been conducting for several years. China said Tuesday, quote, resourcefully safeguard its legitimate rights and interests, end quote, over shooting down the balloon. The statement comes as relations between the two countries deteriorate further. Foreign Minister spokesman Miao Ning on Tuesday related that the unmanned airship posed no threat and entered U.S. airspace accidentally. Mao again criticized the U.S. for overreacting rather than adopting a calm, professional manner, and for using force in bringing the balloon down Saturday in the Atlantic Ocean just off the U.S. coast.
A student witnessed Austin Peay's chemistry lab manager, Ronald Palmer, masturbating in his office with the door open. Clarksville Today reports Palmer refuses to answer police questions. The lab manager was charged with indecent exposure, and the bond is set to $500. A Montgomery County jury did not convict a local man in connection with a deadly home invasion. Clarksville Now reports jurors found Richard Woodson not guilty of first-degree murder and aggravated burglary charges for a home invasion that took place in 2021. Woodson was not one of the three intruders, but is believed to have set up the robbery. Prosecutors presented witness testimony, circumstantial evidence to the jury. The jury found Woodson not guilty after 5 hours of deliberation.
We'll be right back with some political topics after these messages.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
My Shiro doesn't always wear a cape, but she always has time for a hug, a smile, for going the extra mile. My Shiro stretches every dollar, puts in long hours, puts others first. But now it's your time, Mom. When you're ready to retire, we want you to be able to enjoy it. It's time to start saving now. A free 3-minute online chat can give you the personalized tips you need to start boosting your retirement savings today. Visit aceyourretirement.org/Shiro.
You want change. You want a community that supports you. You want the knowledge it takes to make a difference in this world. It's time to be more. It's time to be better. It's time to grow. The world you want to see starts with you. The life you want begins at Austin Peay State University. Learn more at apsu.edu.
President Joe Biden pushed for bipartisan support in regards to the looming issue of the U.S. debt ceiling. The president made comments during this week's State of the Union. CNBC reports Democrats narrowly lost the U.S. House in the 2022 midterms, so Biden must negotiate with newly elected Republican majority, who want deep spending cuts and agreement for a debt ceiling raise. As the United States reaches closer and closer to the allotted debt ceiling, the possibility of the U.S. defaulting on its debt is becoming more of a reality. President Biden was met with boos and jeers when he claimed that 25% of the outstanding U.S. debt was created under the Republican Trump administration. Clarksville council members voted to postpone voting on a measure that would reinstate parking for elected officials. The Parking Commission voted in September to end free parking passes for elected officials. Clarksville Now reports elected officials have to send a note to the parking manager each time they want to park downtown to avoid parking tickets and tows. Elected officials have called these actions by the Parking Commission an invasion of privacy and disapprove of the power allotted to the parking manager to approve or deny the request for parking for free. Sponsor Karen Reynolds requests that the parameters be set to avoid overreach by the Parking Commission. It appears that the Roxy Regional Theater funding is safe for now. Clarksville Now reports that the city's council voted Thursday to keep funding in place. Former councilperson Vontrell Richmond has sponsored a proposal to remove funding in wake of the mounting criticism of hostile work environment stemming from Roxy Theater director Ryan Bowie. The vote was originally set to take place last month, but the council members requested a postponement to review various issues as well as the results of an investigation conducted by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. The EEOC closed their investigation. However, councilpeople Tricia Butler and Joe Shakinum have expressed concerns that the language in the latest measure implied that the director Bowie was cleared of any wrongdoing instead of being reprimanded. The amendment was passed unanimously, but the amended ordinance failed. Now, news from the state legislature. Tennessee State House Speaker Cameron Sexton is pushing for Tennessee to stop accepting nearly $2 billion of federal K-12 education dollars to minimize federal oversight for Tennessee schools. National Scene reports that House Speaker Sexton wants to replace federal funds with state allotted funds from the 2022 fiscal year education budget to avoid federal stipulations. Critics argue Sexton's plan will cut funding from the programs that assist low-income students, English learners, and students from special education programs. Currently, no state has foregone federal education funding before.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Yo, camping buddy. Okay, you guys ready?
Dude, I thought you were driving.
I thought you were driving.
Oh, I never said I was driving.
I definitely can't drive.
Okay. If you're high, just don't drive. It's illegal everywhere. If you feel different, you drive different.
After you joined our family, it was like, I really do feel complete now.
You're not gonna get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff.
Mama!
Like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the right seat.
Hey Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
welcome to today's weather. It's feel like it's finally getting to that point in time where just about every day you're going to get some decent weather. No more super chilly stuff, maybe earlier in the morning. But as far as weather, it's been pretty nice. Checking out some of the temperatures around the country right now. We have Denver right now at 43 on the West Coast. After that, we'll have Los Angeles at 73. Up top, Seattle at 49. Dallas is 44. Chicago a little chillier, 35. New York at 57, and then Atlanta at 57 as well. Talking about today's highs in Clarksville. Memphis is at 52. Clarksville here, it's 51. Nashville, 55. Chattanooga, 59. And on the east side of Tennessee, Knoxville at 57. Now today's lows. Memphis, 36. Clarksville with a low of 32. Nashville, 35. Chattanooga, 42. And Knoxville, 30. That's what I was talking about a little earlier. We're seeing the weather. The lows are still kind of chilly, but the highs are getting up there. Is the current temperature right now, 51 degrees north-northwest at 10 miles per hour. That's where the wind is going right now. And then tonight's temperature, it'll be 34 miles per hour with the wind moving at north-northeast at 7 miles per hour, and the precipitation have about a 7% chance. And now checking in as far as the daily forecast. Friday right now, it's cloudy, high of 51, a low of 31. Saturday, we'll have a high of 54 and a low of 33. And then when you talk about Sunday, we'll have a high of 57 and a low of 53. Have any fun plans? Should be good there. Super Bowl, maybe do a little outside cooking as well. And Monday, we'll have a high of 60 and a low of 36. And then next week, Tuesday, we might expect some rain. It's looking like showers with a low of 53 and a high of 58. We'll be right back here with sports. I'm Jamar Perkins on APSU TV News.
Wherever you see a flower, a bird, a beautiful tree, know that my love is with you as you bring our colorful stories to the world.
Make the forest part of your story at a park near you. Find one at discovertheforest.org.
Hey, Bobo, do trees tell each other stories?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, why don't we go find out? Listen.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
Good afternoon and welcome inside the Sports Zone. Tipping things off here, I want to talk about the Austin Peay basketball programs with one team red hot while the other is struggling right now. That struggling team right now is the men's program, as they currently have an 8-18 record, 2-11 conference record, and have lost 9 straight games. Their most recent loss come last night on the road against North Alabama, 70-57, and that was a game where we saw the Govs really put up a good fight all the way up until the end, but it was North Alabama's Jakari Lane's 29-point performance that really stifled Austin Peay. The Govs will stay on the road for a Saturday afternoon matchup against Central Arkansas at 3:30, and Central Arkansas is one of the 2 teams that the Govs have beaten this season with a win earlier at home, 86-62. Now, when you talk about the women's basketball team, it is a totally different story. They have a 15-7 total record while being 10-2 in the conference. They are currently on a 4-game win streak, with their last win coming last night against North Florida in a commanding score of 77-35. The Govs had 5 players score in double figures, with freshman Anala Nelson leading the pack with 14 points. With the win last night, head coach Brittany Young became the Austin Peay all-time winningest head coach in their first 2 seasons with 35 wins. To explain how remarkable this is, Young broke the record of 34 wins set by Pam Davidson in 1981. In a three-way tie in the conference for second place, the Govs will look to extend their win streak on Saturday afternoon as they will take on Jacksonville at 1 o'clock. Transitioning to the hard courts, Austin Peay's tennis program has started their indoor season, and similar to basketball, the women have been playing better to start, with the men holding a 1-2 record and the women with a 3-2 record. The men are coming off of a 5-2 loss against St. Louis, while the women are coming off to a 6-1 win against Southeast Missouri. Both teams will be on the road next week, with the women playing at Louisville next Friday and the men taking on MTSU the following Sunday. You can see with tennis starting that spring sports are on the rise, and we actually have our very first softball game of the season going on right now as we speak, as the Govs are on the road for the Running Bulldog Classic, taking on Robert Morris University. And they will actually also be in action at 4 o'clock this afternoon against Gardner-Webb, with games against Ohio and George Mason following for the weekend. Now, I'd be wrong if I didn't acknowledge a historic sports record broken this week in the NBA. LeBron James became the all-time scoring leader, passing Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with 38,387 points. So regardless of where LeBron sits in your GOAT discussion, you have to respect greatness, and it was a show of greatness displayed this week. And before I close, I want to remind everyone that Super Bowl 57 kicks off Sunday night, where the Kansas City Chiefs meet the Philadelphia Eagles. There's some Super Bowl superfan who will attend the 57th straight year. Dave Eade talked to 86-year-old Don Chrisman from Maine, who has not missed a single year in the stands.
It's special.
On Wednesday morning, 86-year-old Don Chrisman will head west for his 57th straight Super Bowl.
I keep saying I'm going to give up, but then I get there's something inside that says you got to go. This is a game ball from Super Bowl 51, the overtime game.
Don, a diehard Patriots fan, is in a unique fraternity.
Well, we think it's now down to 8 total, which we think we're the only 3 fans.
Although there were a few close calls.
You know, I thought it was over so many times, you know, and then I said 50 for sure, and then the damn Patriots went and got in 51. I had to go.
And on Wednesday, he'll be going again, hopefully with his daughter, Sue.
I hope she's going, because she's been my lifeline for the last 6 years. And, you know, getting around is not like it used to be. And sometimes they have to use a wheelchair if it's great distance. That is me at Super Bowl 1 with Stanley.
But keeping the streak alive is also a big expense.
Money, everywhere you look, there's big dollars. And we just go for the fun of it, you know, the guys, and to have a reunion.
A reunion he hopes will continue.
I'm afraid if I think if I gave it up and a day went by, then I'd brush it off and it's over. But until you get to, as long as you have the opportunity to get there, you kind of keep trying.
That's all the time we have today here in the Sports Zone. Stay tuned for more here on APSU TV News.
You're not going to get it all right. Just make sure you nail the big stuff, like making sure your kids are in the right seat for their age and size. Get it right at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat.
When you look at the number of disasters in the U.S., chances are every area will deal with some kind of emergency in the next decade. And between school, sports, and social lives, chances are you won't be with your kids when it happens. Will they know what to do? Ready.gov/kids has the educational tools and information to make the conversation easy. When the time comes, chances are they'll feel prepared, not scared. So talk with your family today.
And welcome back to APSU TV News. In a more obvious light, the Department of Art Plus Design will host their annual College Art Plus Design Day on February 11th tomorrow. High school art students, as well as their art teachers and parents, are invited to participate in this free event. Please join the facility, students, and alumni of Austin Peay State University Department of Art and Design in this day-long experience of college programs and careers in the visual arts. Students will participate in art, animation, and graphic design lectures and hand-on projects. Release your inner polar bear by diving into the chilly waters of the Swan Lake swimming pool for the first polar bear plunge on February 11th tomorrow. Proceeds from this event will help fund the Gliding Gibby's free swim lesson program. Bring your own towels or blankets and prepare to take the plunge for a good cause. Teachers are included for registration. More info can be found on the Clarksville Parks and Rec website.
Mid-college student Madeline Pufall intends to win this year's Miss Tennessee USA pageant. Pufall tutors young children and works for her high school diploma and associate's degree. You can email Pufall at maddieholly22@gmail.com to learn how to support her. A mysterious goat yacht gets buried at sea, and rescuers race to save an injured whale from a serious snare. Coming up in today's Take a Look at This.
A mysterious yacht that sat abandoned for decades at a Maryland marina has been reborn through a watery burial as part of the state's artificial reef program. Locals say the 53-foot vessel, dubbed the Ghost Yacht, sat empty and unused at the Cedar Point Marina for as long as they could remember, a relic of a long-since passed owner that eventually belonged to the marina itself. The vessel's unique floating concrete structure is what inspired officials to finally put it to rest in Chesapeake Bay as part of the state's 21 artificial reefs, helping to expand habitats for aquatic life and create attractions for recreational divers. After years of neglect, this vintage vessel will now go down in history as a functional and beneficial sunken treasure. While that went down, something was up in a Georgia college library, and that something was a stubborn owl. Wait, who? Exactly. Students at Agnes Scott College say they were studying quietly when this barred owl suddenly flew out of the fireplace and up to the rafters where it's stayed ever since. At first, students had fun with it, even naming the library lurking bird Edgar Allan Poe, but once the bird started making its mark, it went from a real hoot to a real nuisance, one that days later school officials and falconers still can't seem to get rid of. Finally, watch a collection of cuddly critters run wild to celebrate National Golden Retriever Day in, where else? Golden, Colorado. The annual Goldens in Golden event is a sight to behold, big and bold and furry and gold, just like the popular pooch that bears its name.
All right, so I am so ready for winter to end. I just hate cold weather.
I like, the winter weather myself. I know I just love, the atmosphere, the hoodies. I never get to bust out my favorite hoodies, but I don't know. I guess spring is all right, if you ask me.
I mean, apparently the groundhog last week says there will be more winter, but
yes.
I don't believe him.
Yes, I can't really trust a groundhog where I can't pronounce their name. I'm sorry, people. But that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at APSU TV in Clarksville and Instagram at APSU_TV. Thanks for watching APSU TV News Update. And as always, let's go Peay.